all of them.
Working
today.
on- I know, I looked over there. and it's-
Which one you talking about? Read in here. Oh, okay. Oh, that answered the question.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Good. I'm slow.
Yep.
I saw cousin Andy here. What's he talking about?
Okay.
Real property tax drops.
Meeting is in stream.
We're live. All right. It's 4:30. Linda has us on live video. So call the meeting to order. And we'll start with the approval of the minutes of the June 30, 24 regular meeting. You had a chance to read it or not, but accept the motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion from Bill Cunnington to approve.
Yes,
I
sir.
have a second.
Second.
Second from Barry. All in favor, say aye.
No,
Approved by like sign. All right. Financial statements, we're finishing up the fiscal year ending June 30 of 24. The cash in the bank is, with all the grants and so forth that still haven't been spent, is currently at $1,665,000. We do have projects that are in process and so forth, so we'll be looking at spending that as we go along for improvements. The water and sewer budget tracking. Revenue, we budgeted at $1,660,000, came in at the year at $1,884,900. So revenue was up about 224,000 better than budgeted. As you can see on there as well, there's 723,000 of grant revenue came in, so that's the reason your cash is up right now. The expenditures, everything is on track. Pretty much came in better than budget. It will still need to be gone through with the auditing by the auditors and maybe adjustments and so forth, but we had a good year. Sewer budget tracking, it's also revenue is up at 774 against a budget of 600,000. Again, some miscellaneous one-time revenue of 41,000 in addition to the regular billing. So we ended up at 907,000 total. But expenditures for the year, professional and technical services, we had some expenditures for that one major project. Maintenance and repairs was 122 above what we budgeted at 85. Had some pumps and so forth that we had to replace. That maintenance is going to be a item that's just going to be hard to budget and hard to know when something's going to go out and have to be replaced. So we just try to do the best that we got. So, but we ended up year-to-date budget was 951, and we ended up with a little profit in there of $717. So
it's a rare year.
that is excellent in the sewer.
Make a little money.
In the sewer. So That's, we had a good year there, so. All right. Moving on to looking at our project status update. Tim, Lone Valley Road, we're still waiting on,
States approved everything, we've still got an easement or two that we've got, everything's been approved by the state. We've still got, couple of,
Two easements that I know
still
of.
working on that.
Ted and I
easement.
are meeting with Barbara Futrell and her attorney out on her property Monday morning
Okay,
to discuss. I think her concerns are primarily things like, she's got some basement drainage coming out and she wants to make sure that whatever it is we do out in the ditch
right,
doesn't back up her
right.
basement drain. She just wants to make sure that what we're gonna do out there is not gonna mess up what she's already got there. They use it as like a summer home, you know,
Right.
they're vacationing in it and that's all they do.
Right.
But we've got to answer all of her questions. And then, Jerry's wife, Jerry's Pools and Spas, what's their last name? I forgot.
Lee,
You know who I'm talking about?
Lee's pools and stuff.
No,
Jerry's-
Jerry's Pools and Spas.
Jerry.
He's right behind the Futrell's house. He's got that house across.
Shimwell?
Huh?
Was it Shimwell?
No. No, it was
I
a
know
name
you're
that wasn't familiar to me, but either way, Jerry died. His wife is living with her daughter and son-in-law. And they are they're everywhere. They're 1 week they're in Missouri and the next week they're in Florida and the next week they're here. And they're all, she's in her 90s and her kids are in their 60s or 70s.
Right.
And they're nervous. They're having some problems with people breaking into their house out there. So they're all scared to death. So anyway, that one, Chad's been out there a couple of times. He sees the windows boarded up and he thought that meant they weren't home. That doesn't necessarily mean they weren't home. It just means they're afraid of people breaking windows and stuff. So in any event, we've got a couple of leads on that and actually Barbara Futrell is helping us locate them. And they're supposed to be back in town next week, I think. So maybe we'll get those two easements settled, maybe next week.
You talking about Hudgens was the last name?
Hudgens. Yeah. Did
I
you-
cheated.
Oh, okay. I started saying, did you just remember that?
Actually, I did remember it and I was scared to say it before I looked it
scared to say
up. I'm a ding dong when it comes
Well,
to that.
there, yeah.
I remember
that
him,
was
but I
him.
had a pool leveler on,
Yeah,
when I lived in Gilbersville, but I couldn't
Yeah.
think who he was.
So make sure you had time to go down there and see.
yeah.
All right, okay, the lane testing results in the well field. I know they've got the putting wells back together and everything.
They are done. They got finished today. They got them all put back in the holes and turned on.
Tell us about the blade well, number one. Did they get it out?
Yes, we did.
Went fishing, huh?
You're making a monument down there and put it out
I'm
there.
gonna put it over here, Roger driveway.
There you go. Implanted on a mailbox post.
Yes.
But, and when we turned the well on today, it was a big improvement.
Okay. Take the blockage away and it'll pump.
Is that blade blocking the hole?
Yeah, it was blocking the screen.
Wow.
On the inlet side, a little bit of blockage goes a long way.
Yep,
Yeah.
does, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got to test 4 to see what the water quality is there, right?
I can test it at the plant. On number 4, I am gonna pull secondary samples on it because I'm going to start, if it's testing like I think it's gonna test, we're fixing to start using it in the system.
Well, 4 is the well
well.
for the Duke well.
Oh, really?
Never
That's
could
one
get-
on the north side.
Yep, we never could get good water quality out of it, but we're getting good water quality out of it now.
No idea why.
I'm not geologist.
Geologist.
But I seen an improvement after we drilled well 6, which is across the road on the same side of the road as our well. And by pumping it hard, I don't know if it changed the water stream, pulled the iron. It hadn't affected that well or our wells as far as the iron, but it brought the iron level way down on that well. And we never could get it down.
So we
So-
diverted the iron somewhere, but we don't know where.
Right.
We're not pumping it out of the one that you started up.
Go over with me then, the
We
wells,
pulled it in that rock in the sink. I don't know. And that may not have been it, but that's when I noticed it.
Yeah,
you know, that's when it happened. The wells we're currently using are what? Do they vary, or is there certain wells we're using for water in Calvert? What are,
We,
We've got 5.
go ahead, number one,
Number 1
go ahead.
is that's well that I just put back in the
Okay,
hole
yeah,
today,
right,
that the spring was being blocked.
yep,
It
Back
is a
in
800 gallon a minute well is what it's designed to pump.
okay,
Number 2 well is 1,000 gallon a minute well.
10 times more.
Number 3 well is a 750 gallon a minute well.
And these are currently in service.
Yes,
Keep
they're
going.
all, those are all on, as you're driving towards Old Gildersville on the right-hand side,
correct.
but where the
I've seen
Martin
that.
House
on the
was in there, yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Number 4 well that was a well that was drilled with the Duke Energy.
Okay. Yep.
It was developed at 1,000 gallon a minute.
Okay,
And I mean, I pumped it a little over 1,200 a day.
And it's on the outside of the curve, on the other side.
It's
Other
on the other
side.
side. It's on the railroad side of this road.
okay, other side of curve. Railroad side, got it, and you're getting 1,000 and the iron is good, you're
Right.
saying,
Number 6 is
We go there, well, 5 was there with well 4 and we closed.
we
it.
abandoned.
I remember
And
we
we
closed one,
abandoned
that's what I
it.
was trying to get at too. And so number 6, go ahead,
It was developed as 1,000 gallon minute well.
okay,
You can pump it 1,400 all day long.
okay.
It's the newest well.
That's the newest well.
How long ago did we put it in
And you
service?
cannot lower the water in it.
We can shut the rest of them down.
well, who said it was 1,000?
That's what it was developed as.
Designed, that's how it's designed.
So the well casing, the well liner, the screen, the pump were all put in for 1,000 gallon nozzle.
Right.
This does a lot better.
Right now, I'm pumping it at about 750. Just because one's designed at 800. Don't mean you can get 800 out of it, but you're doing nothing but damaging your well.
Okay,
To pump it at 800 every day for 16 hours a day.
How many on VFDs?
One,
and are we using all of these all the time then?
No.
These 4, 5?
I use 2 wells at a time.
2 wells at a time, okay,
I cannot. I'm just permitted for 1,440 gallons a minute that I can legally filter through the plant. 2 million gallon a day,
1440 per hour per minute, what'd you say, 1440
1,440 per minute,
per minute? And that works out to what per day?
2 million gallons.
And that's what we're permitted for, gotcha.
Right. And right now you're at about 90% of that 2 million.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's say we get more business, how do we handle that? Do you gotta get a new permit? You
Permit.
do permits, you gotta go through the state, okay.
what we have to do is get our filters reassessed to get the gallons per minute increase per cubic foot of your filters. But with our water quality, and keep this in mind down the road,
Okay,
with your raw water quality, you do not have to even filter your water. We are going a step
beyond,
beyond what the state says we have to do for iron removal. We don't have to.
right,
We can pump it right straight out of the wells to your clear well, chlorinate it, and put fluoride in it and ship it on down the pipe. We do not have to filter our water.
The filtration was installed when water quality wasn't nearly so good.
Right.
and the water quality has changed, but we're not sure why.
Yeah, we
And
do
we know why.
because the wells changed.
Yes, the wells changed.
The well field was brought into operation. The other well field was in a totally different location, different aquifer, a lot less quality. The well
Where was
field-
it?
The well field was relocated, and what he's talking about is idiosyncrasies of
Yeah.
of the wells that are very small compared to the big change it was made,
Where was the old aquifer? And,
right around the water plant.
okay,
And it was a shallow aquifer there.
and we changed that when, in the nineties or?
I don't know.
It changed when I came. in.
When you came on
Was out
with-
there 30 years ago.
They, 94,
Was the filter originally for iron or was it for carbon?
I'm
I
sorry,
mean, for calcium. Was it originally for iron or was it for calcium?
iron.
All right. You can't filter out the hardness on the water. You gotta do some chemical.
Chemically change it.
Yeah.
It was just everybody's yellow underwear.
Right. But I mean,
That
we
was-
don't, with our raw water quality, we do not have to filter.
I think that new wells that were moved.
And we would not have the same problem that we were having in the 70s.
And to me, I mean, I would have to talk to Chad, the state. I don't know why the plant couldn't be upgraded, increased on size, on million gallons a day if you were bypassing the filter.
Oh, yeah, good point.
But there's also in that permitting to get more water, we have to show a need for more water. Wasn't that what
Yes,
you told me?
yes,
I think,
yes.
yeah.
So Bill, to answer, keep your line of questioning up. The filtration plant is good for more flow, but it has to be approved and rated and considered.
so it has
Stamped
capacity.
approved. It's got
Right,
capacity, we know
state's
it's
got
got capacity, but you don't have the certification to go with it. And it can be had, we believe.
Right.
And the capacity to pull out of the well field and get the flow to the plant exceeds 2 million gallons a day as well.
Yeah, based on these numbers you're
And
talking about,
Dan
right?
was saying, so when you have a demand that needs to exceed it, then you go and you. It's not,
How long we been at 90%?
as crazy as it sounds, the increase in flow isn't gonna take, we've gone through this with Chad. The increase of flow to the plant isn't gonna have to take any kind of capital expense or
Oh, nice.
bottlenecking to speak of.
Right,
You can go up, I don't know what the number is, Chad knows what the number is, I don't.
Okay.
So we can increase it quite a lot. And it's just procedurally and permitting modifications.
where's the filter system that we're using?
It's at the plant. man.
Water plant?
Mhm.
Okay, you probably turned me around it. I just didn't.
Yeah, it's in the, there is a.
Is
filter
that
built in
building?
there.
Yeah.
It's the white taller building,
I've been in there.
it's what you think is the plant when you pull up.
I think Roger took. Maybe Steve and I did, we go.
Those filters like backwash and regen on a timer or gallons automatically, or do you guys just manually do a regen on them?
We can do it either way. We do it by going up there and looking at the filters. I want to see what the water is. I'm not going to trust nothing.
Right.
I want to see it with my own eyes. And that's where I'll train the guys. Y'all can, I mean, I'll show you how to use this stuff. but go up there and look at it.
So this 90%, have we been at 90% a long time? You said
About a
just a
year.
year.
About a year, and it keeps inching up, and
That's
it's
my
not
question.
it's not water loss. Because your water loss is less than 13%.
And that's been fairly consistent, hasn't it?
Right.
Right. So the usage is slowly building up, you're saying. So yeah, we gotta look at this. It sounds like to me, you know.
You've
Pretty
got one of
soon, we
the
may wanna-
tightest, you've got one of the tightest water systems in this end of the state.
What's
I
that
can
mean?
assure you of that.
Tightest, what do you mean?
I mean, we're not losing water.
Right. You had 100% meter change out, that brought your numbers down.
We're not giving
Terms
away
of
any
loss.
water with a meter change.
Yeah, and you know, apparently our revenue, what would you say, Linda, is our revenue changed?
It's changed, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that on the budget number.
Right. So. All this did what we hoped it
When I
did.
turned my numbers into the state, and I mean, I turned numbers into the state yesterday, I had an inspection yesterday. And he looked at them and looked at them and looked at them and looked at them and looked at them, and he said, y'all are tight. I told him, I said, here it is. I said, here's what I'm billing for, and here's what I'm showing coming through the plant.
Right.
And I said, the numbers match.
It's good. Well, it's just, I think we need to think about it. You know, it's the next time we have a plan or somebody
You never
say,
know.
we wanna, you know, and we kind of, I know we've had some on deck here several times.
Well, that's the first thing that we, in time,
But that's-
anybody that comes on as a sizable user, we have to look at
Well, I
that.
mean, you take just even the plants that you've got right now. If they add on a new small piece inside the plant. And say it's just a 2-inch flow that they've added on. 2-inch flow over 24-hour time is a bunch of water.
So you said capacity wise, obviously from the aquifer, we're good.
Right.
The filter system itself, can it build capacity?
Yep.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, so. Is it something we need to consider applying to the state saying we're about there?
One of the projects that was in queue was necessitating that we do that,
Okay,
and it's no longer pushing us that hard, but
okay,
we do that.
so,
But it's soon as anybody comes with the project bill, that'd be the first thing we have to do.
That probably a pretty lengthy process to get that approved.
It is.
I know it would be in some of my other endeavors.
Yeah,
Well-
it is. I mean, I agree with you. They'll look at it tomorrow or maybe next year or whatnot, but
But I mean, when they look back at our numbers. Which they look at, I mean, they've got them, I send them to them every month. When they look back at your numbers. Month after month after month after month after month after month after month. They see a need. I mean, it's,
Is that just a hard 2 million a day? It's no rolling average, it's no. Not average out over a 12-month period? Is it just straight up 2 million a day?
it is, well, no, they'll do it over a monthly. I mean, cause there's lots of days I go over 2 million,
Okay,
even today. I mean, I probably pump between 1.8 and 1.9 is what I'm gonna pump today. And I mean, as long as my monthly don't keep going over,
right.
they're,
That's-
I mean, they're not gonna sell it.
do you know what the kickback would be as if we started running consistently above 2 million? Is there a
Really, I don't.
penalty or a fine or are they gonna just say you need to get your permit upgraded? Do you know?
I'm gonna say that would be, the first thing is they would write you a violation. And you'd have to do something with it. I don't know.
The line that goes to the elevated tank, is that isolated? Is that line going from,
Plant to the tire?
is that,
No,
it's being used for other things?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That eliminates what I was thinking.
Okay. Greg, we okay with Love's, everything moving all right with
As far as
Love's?
I know, we're good to go on Lowe's.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to him again this week about the meter and they're still trying to get one.
Okay,
So they're working on the meter,
Yes, they are.
but they're operating, have you checked any of their reports? Are they doing any better on their reports?
Yeah.
Okay. And so installing that meter is the only thing on our list of to do
That's all they like on my part.
that's outside. You know why they haven't got, or you know why it's taking so long to get it?
How long is long? I mean, how long have they been trying to get?
3 months.
Yeah, maybe 3 months.
Does that, in your experience, does that seem right? Would it take 3 months to get one of those?
This day and time, yeah.
Okay,
could very well.
you don't think it's because they're just
No,
sitting on their
they're
hands?
not dragging their feet. Not in my opinion, because I
Right.
mean, I'll get an email from them at least every week.
Good. Okay,
Have we seen the specs on the meter that they're trying to get?
I think we expected, didn't we?
All right, sewer rehab phase, smoke testing, all that, how's that continuing going, that Chad and them are doing?
Yes, and they done manhole inspections last week.
So that's what those guys were out in the middle of my street.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I wonder what those, I wonder what those two pickup trucks were doing out there in the middle of the street, so. Yeah. I didn't walk up there, I should have, but anyway. All right, okay, a quick update on the wastewater treatment plant rehab, Travis and them have been running very well on that. We've run into a few hiccups that are being reviewed and looked at. Right now, looks like we're somewhat on schedule to complete before the end of the year. Couple of these hiccups we've had could push it out, but it looks like we're going to get everything done.
There's been some growth of that project. Some other things that were determined to be, because of the age, different things not being in service, going to have to be corrected that we haven't looked at for, so there's a legal term, what's the legal term for that? Damages,
Consequential damages.
consequential damages, so that's all kind of rolling up into this thing, but it doesn't matter, they gotta be addressed, and we'll figure it all out in wash.
But everything is moving on. We had a meeting this last week with everybody, and so things are progressing along.
Looks like to me that they'll probably pour that base slab in the middle of this next week.
Good.
That's the base slab on the bar screen structure.
Yes, sir.
I'm getting educated. They didn't want me, they didn't want to be educated.
Yeah. Any other items on projects? Most of the others
One
pretty
quick
much
Question
clear.
about North Marshall Water, where we at with that agreement with North Marshall?
Waiting on Roger to give us a document.
Yeah, I hadn't heard, have
That
you
would-
communicated with him? Has he
I-
talked to you in the last 2 months about it? He has not talked to me about it.
So we got,
I doubt. And I told him I said, we got ads.
you got the PSC thing certified, right, or taken care of?
No. No, not at all. We don't
That's
have a
what we-
contract right now. All of our contracts are expired. So we don't have a contract with anybody.
Well, I mean, the legality question, the legality issue, the that PSC thing has been determined that the contract has to come from the receiving utility who is a PSC member, correct?
Well, it's a contract between
Yeah,
the PSC member that's purchasing and the non-PSC member that's selling.
right.
And so bottom line is, it's gonna, if we do this, it's gonna subject us to PSC regulation. That's the bottom line. And Roger's trying to figure out a way to structure that contract to relieve the city as much as possible from having to carry much bureaucratic weight. But I have not seen anything from him
Right.
since we talked about that, probably at least 2 months ago, and maybe 3 months ago.
I'm sorry about putting logic on legal questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because there's not any,
So.
you know that.
Well, I mean, if the PSC compliant firm sets the sell rate. And, okay, so who, legally speaking, if someone, the contract terms are agreed to by both parties.
Mhm.
But who is legally, if someone determines the rate of sale and the stipulations of the contract, are they the owner of the contract, or is there some kind of difference? I mean, if I write a contract and you agree to something, I'm a seller and you're a purchaser.
Mhm.
I'm asking, is there a term for someone who sets the terms of the contract? I mean, you both agree to it, but is there a, by the PSC firm, is there a, I don't know what the term is,
The PSC is the regulatory body
right?
that is going to approve the contract for our sale of water to North Marshall. PSC is
I'm
gonna
looking-
approve that
I'm-
contract.
I don't know what the word is, but I mean, if somebody indemnifies you, I'm looking, is there some kind of, they set the rates and they agree to deal with PSC inquiries and shelter the city, the municipal, which isn't required to be part of that. I mean, is there a term for that?
Yeah, well, indemnification is as good as any because that's the only way this can be handled. The city will be subject to regulation by the PSC, and there's nothing North Marshall can do to stop that. They can indemnify us if we incur costs
If they
as a
are,
result of that.
if they're buying water from us, we would fall under the PSC.
Yeah,
Well, then we're not gonna sell them water.
well, that's
That's a problem.
That was my
That's a
first
problem
response to
for people
Roger.
who need to deal with utilities like ours. There ought to be a legal solution for that somehow. We're not the first ones to try to cross that bridge.
no, well, the vast majority of
I mean, I can
the
see if-
attorneys representing municipal water departments say, don't do it. Stay out of it because it's a bureaucratic entanglement that you don't have to deal with as a municipal utility. But once you start transacting water sales with a PSC regulated entity, now you as to whether that it is the total extent of the regulation, I don't know if the regulatory authority of PSC stops at that contract or not.
Well, I do know the term for bureaucratic entanglement.
Well, they're
Ridiculousness.
Is this a state agency or is this a national?
state, no, it's state agency.
State, then yeah, that's a political.
Yeah.
You're gonna get
Well, I
solved
mean, the
that.
Public Service Commission is gonna take a look at all the water systems and you're gonna go through it, what they're charging and what their costs are and regulate. And so we don't fall into that as a municipality owned thing. However, we've heard our own consultants say we did a great job of doing that. We could probably stand up to it, but why are you gonna stand up to a different level of scrutiny? For just a very small.
Saying is,
very
the
small
the
contract.
answer on the state level for municipalities to do business with those is a political
Yeah.
answer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's gotta be changed politically rather than legally.
But we're not gonna get a one-off exception for our deal.
But
It's gonna-
but if it's an issue across the
Yeah,
state, and you're
right.
getting into 2 or 3, that's something that's probably. a
Well,
political
and for that matter, the funds that are available to ensure the citizens of the Commonwealth are drinking clean water. We avail ourselves of those grant funds like everybody else, and it looks like it'd be in the best interest politically speaking to make sure that everybody can take advantage of it.
I think so. I think exactly so. And it would
Which,
probably
I
be
mean,
cheaper than
I
it
mean,
would
you
be
know,
for North
they're
Marshall
needing
try to
water.
increase their water production.
And
Oh,
we're
yeah.
a logical
Much.
source for them.
Well, which is what Roger's trying to
Makes too
do.
much sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and what's gonna happen ultimately is when Roger's ready to do that, we're gonna bring Roger in here, let Roger lay out for you guys what it is he's proposing to do to protect the city from and bureaucratic entanglement and the costs associated with that. And then you guys are gonna decide, okay, are we willing to take the risk? That's what's gonna happen.
Right.
Roger is hoping upon hope that you are gonna be willing to take the risk, because if not, it leaves him with a great risk of not having enough water
Well,
to
actually,
do his
council
job.
takes the risk. We don't. We just make a recommendation.
That's true. That's right. But he's gonna start by pitching it at you guys.
Well, there are some indication that he has not been able to supply some customers recently, and
Does he have other people he's connected to, other water systems besides Calvert?
Paducah Water.
Roger,
Yeah, North Marshall. Water District's connected to him.
He buys from Paducah.
he's buying from. He's buying from Paducah.
I
I
think
know he's
so.
buying from Jonathan Creek right now.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, Jonathan Creek.
Cause his own water production is pretty hampered right now.
Right. Yeah,
Are we saying that we cannot sell them water as it stands right now?
Well,
Without risk.
we don't, well, at this moment, today,
Okay,
if Roger said, I need some water today.
Yeah.
We don't have a contract for selling him water. So if we sold him water today, it would be on a contract for, it'd be on short-term verbal. He calls Tim and Tim says, yeah, sure, turn it on. And then we send him a bill and he pays us. There wouldn't be a written long-term contract. There would be the contract lasted for 3 days or whatever. And we could be challenged and potentially tangled up in a bureaucratic mess if PSC wanted to come, if somebody at PSC got mad at somebody here and decided I'll teach you a lesson, then yeah, they could drag us through and say you did that without any approval of PSC. Frankly, we've done that. I mean, for years, we've done that and didn't know that was subjecting us to PSC regulations. We didn't know that.
What is PSC stand for?
Public Service Corporation.
And that is state or
It's
federal?
just a state regulatory agency.
so we're in the same, if something happened to us and we needed them to send
Yeah.
water to us.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
So in other words, they had rather it would put somebody in a position not to have water or far
Right.
water.
That was available with an open valve.
Yeah, so he'd have to just open it, but somebody in,
but you're taking a risk when you do that because you don't have regulatory authority to do it.
Yeah.
And I looked it up a couple of months ago. I don't think Paducah is subject to PSC regulation. I think it's municipal. And so we could buy water, we can buy and sell water to Paducah, but their entity is regulated by the PSC.
So there you have it. Political, cities stick together.
Yeah.
And it's just, that makes sense.
No, I doubt that many elected officials.
Roger's pretty well
Probably
connected.
even understand this.
Right.
I think he can get something.
He's been in the water biz, and I'm sure he has contacts that are based similar, maybe find us some examples.
Maybe you can find a way to insure it. You know, right now, if we had an indemnity agreement from North Marshall Water, that's not the deepest pocket for indemnity that I can imagine right now. Maybe Roger's I don't know what Roger's gonna pitch. Roger, when I was talking to him, he had his hat in his hand and he was saying, I've got to come up with something. I said, good luck, man. Come up with something and come and pitch it and we'll see if it works. That's all I can tell you.
Employees right now, we've got, an ad in, front paper for a replacement for, Mr. Tim, who, of course, retiring towards the end of the year. And, we also have a replacement in there for Daryl, who is retiring as of the end of this month. And there is what is it? Get together or something at City Hall. Linda?
30th.
July 30th.
Right.
Yep, we've got time on that, Tim.
You want to say
I don't know, Carrie is getting that all together. Did she say 10 or
That's what I was thinking.
for some reason I'm thinking?
It's pretty late at night, isn't it?
I won't say it's at 10 o'clock that morning.
For a Calvert party.
I don't have the time on it yet. I just have it on my
But
calendar.
I will find out the correct time.
But in case you want to come by, shake his hand, thank him for his years of service.
How
I
many
don't
years?
know how many years he's had,
Seems like he just got, every time I think about him, I think he just got here a couple of years ago. But it's been a long time.
He got better than 15.
So we know the dates and start yet.
What? I can't remember. It's great.
Doesn't seem
I
like.
know he got 15. With the city.
the thing that concerns me is that our force is getting thin and weak and new people. Not that they're not good employees, but they don't have the experience. We're losing the deep experience that we have, so.
And the knowledge of the system, like he knows it backwards and forwards.
You be a consultant,
So
make money on the phone. That's what's about to happen.
we're gonna play him up
You made your.
I'm not
to
saying that.
No, I hear you.
a USB port and download his brain.
Hook him up to a computer. You got a USB port stuck in the back of your neck.
Don't worry, AI is gonna replace everybody. Right?
Shoot, are you kidding? Not with this system.
Well, you can't put your human experience into AI. That's the problem.
Go for it.
One of the things that I wanted to
You
look
can't
into,
affect what, you know, your inputs for troubleshooting, what was work, what didn't, you know, you could AI that, but you can't get it in the system to AI.
and we'll be looking into it, is how can we expand our sewer system? And I know our mayor has said that we can't cross over the line and take on customers outside the city. But we've got to try to figure out some way to get more business into our sewer system, so I'm gonna be looking at that a little bit and seeing what it might take. We've got plans, I think, I'm gonna dig into that to put more inside the city customers on the sewer. And there may be, I mean, of course, we're talking to the dam and that's still going on. They're getting some information together. Chad touched base with them
Last week.
last week. They're not yet ready to give us low numbers yet, but that's a potential.
They
Does
said
it
they had
cost,
some good numbers.
does it cost somebody more to do, what do they do when they don't have sewer? They use a septic system, right?
Correct.
Do we know what the cost over 10 years of a septic system versus people in Calvert that are on our sewer system? Who comes out ahead? Do we know? Is it cheaper to build a septic system or to be on sewer?
There's another question involved with that too.
Go ahead.
What's better for the environment? What's the permitting requirements? And I don't know the answers to us.
So
So if you've got a septic, if you've got a public sewer system available to you and you choose not to use it, how do you get a septic system permitted? That's the question.
Is that right? Is that a legal question?
That's a question I want to know more about.
Yeah,
It's like, it's a business question and the reality is when you own your own septic system, you're running your own business. And there's a great deal of risk involved and you might come out ahead and you might not. And when you're purchasing per the gallon or when you're purchasing it from the city, it's much more reliable. You know, it's going to be there. If the system breaks down, that's the city's problem, not yours. If you're like me, where I'm sitting on a septic system and I haven't had to pump mine in 30 years. That's very unusual. Most people are pumping them every 10. Well, it costs money to pump them out.
got it.
And if anything gets
Is
screwed
that-
up, you're,
Yeah, when I was in Gibbersville, I was on one, but I pumped it once and then also but I was also a wet spot out in the back end of my lot
right.
for a while.
So that's the
Especially
cost.
during rainy.
Once you've invested, the cost is getting it pumped out.
Uh,
And I,
well,
and I would
That's not-
offer,
And
I would
possibly
offer it's
repair.
more than just, there's more than just cost considerations, there should be in this role that we're running in.
It's probably a $10,000-15,000 project.
Yeah.
To buy
To buy one.
5,000 gallon tank, depending on how many field lines you gotta run, how many feet.
It's got.
They perk your soil. Yeah,
We put in a sewer system, septic system.
I never put in a septic system if I had the opportunity to go with the city.
Where I'm leading with this is, do we have incentive to look at, it could be annexation, but some special annexation that is associated with sewer. And if somebody's already put a system in, they're already invested in that septic tank, pretty much.
Right.
So you're not gonna
Unless they're
be,
having problems.
it's gonna be hard to incentivize that crew. I think it has to go back to economic development, neighborhoods, going back to work with contractors, I guess, that are, and do you have the land in Calvert? Kind of had some land that just got auctioned off on 95 there. That would have been a potential neighborhood and it may become one before it's all over, but yeah, do cities get into that role? Developing neighborhoods? I don't know.
Well,
Sort of, sometimes.
times have changed. I mean, that's just like, we've got several. There are several taxpaying citizens within Calvert City.
Yeah.
That do not have sewer system.
Are not connected to our sewer system.
It's not
No, they
available
don't have it.
Not available.
Okay,
because of the terrain, because of the way the hills and the,
so we said we're not gonna do it.
not on a gravity,
Pumps.
not on a gravity system.
Yeah,
But now there are low pressure sewer systems that you can put in with pumps for a tenth of the cost.
but these people probably have all gone ahead and put a septic system in when we said we couldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's got one. Everybody's got one of some kind.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
And I mean, is there any way that we could look at some kind of incentive to,
That's one of the questions I have.
for us to put in a low pressure system? And
Make it
if the person
available.
wants to get off of their septic system.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we can do to help with the cost? Along with the customer on putting in a low pressure system in those areas and get
And-
them off the septic tanks and on the city sewer.
What we have, and I haven't read it in the last 5 minutes, so we're trusting my memory, which is not trustworthy. But we have a mandatory connection ordinance.
Right.
And if the line comes within X number of feet of your property line, unless it's otherwise, and I forgot the magic language, but if it's a hardship. And I think we have in the past come up with some sort of a safe harbor, if it's more than 40 yards or something like that, that you would have to run a line to attach to it, then you've got to connect, whether
Right.
you've got a septic tank or not.
Right.
So if we run a system, if you're in the city and we run a line by your house, you've got to connect.
I would say we talked to those people before we did that, though. If that's the route we went.
That's politics. man.
Yes.
It's PR is what
Well,
it is.
one of the reasons for the city limits annexation conversation is because sanitary sewer system is expensive to run. It is. And that by and large is the reason that general fund city money flows into the utility system just to support a lot of rehab projects. And since I've been a council member several times, cash is flowing into that system. So that is why there's that pretty hard stop that, hey, you need to be in the city, annexed in the city, subject to city stuff in order to have that benefit. That's why that's that way. So.
Because of the cost of
You know,
capital associated with sewer.
hypothetically speaking, if you wanted to put a bunch of apartments in somewhere. You say, well, I'd love to tie into your city sewer system, but I'm not willing to be annexed.
So does
And so-
people that are outside the annexation have say, vote, whatever in annexation? Is that what you're saying? Is that,
The city, I don't remember the last time, it's not since I've been involved in politics that we've annexed. Someone who did not want to be annexed. There's a procedure where you can annex, and it's gonna be a hot button in.
I don't think you can annex anybody who's in an area that says, I don't want to be annexed.
You have to have a vote.
There has to
We've
be a
done it one
certain
time in the
percent,
last
isn't it?
34 years since I've
Okay.
been here.
Well, let's get back. So the city, there is a procedure where you can annex places that don't want to be annexed. And it's a Kentucky political hot button right now between the counties and the cities, not so much in Marshall. And
Yeah.
really not so much in McCracken, but it's a hot potato right now, politically speaking.
Warren County, someplace that's
Well,
growing?
there's some new legislation out there that I don't know what it went to this last time it was introduced. I honestly don't know.
What
There's
happened?
some animosity about cities expanding in the counties. And so there's some political hot potato, but long story short, there had been ways you could annex someplace that didn't want to be annexed and you could do it. There was a process.
It was a vote.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you had to go to the vote.
So the bottom line is you're saying that if we did annex somebody, it's about them now taking advantage of our sewer system, maybe lowering their bill, but they now will be paying city taxes every month or every year. That's part of annexation is they now
They
will
would
pay
be
city
subject to
taxes.
city taxes.
Yeah.
They would receive city services,
Yeah,
okay? And
Yeah.
you would be.
Beyond
You would
sewer.
have, you would.
garbage.
You would have the benefit of having zoning to protect your investment.
You're right.
So there's other things, it's not a monochromatic issue,
Right.
sewer or not sewer.
Yep.
City or not city comes with a cost, but you get other benefits,
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
and then depending on who you're talking to, they may not think those benefits are really benefits, they may think they're negatives.
Sure.
So there's a branding issue with being in the municipality. And it just depends on how you view those and how good the municipality is, right?
You know, where you're cutting your own throat when you let them have your water and sewer and they're not annexed, and not paying taxes.
Sure.
I mean, we do serve water that's not in the city limits.
But they pay a water bill, but you're saying they don't pay city
They pay it at a
taxes.
different rate also, which you could kind of do that with your sewer, I'm thinking. They pay a little bit higher rate if it's outside the
Yes.
city and they're not paying
So that's
taxes.
kind of where you try to get your tax. dollars.
Compensates a little for the lack of taxes.
Got it. Okay.
In the past, we have, when we've run sewer lines across somebody's property outside of the city limits,
Yeah,
we have them sign a condition to be attached to their deed that says they will agree to any annexation. They don't necessarily get annexed at the time, but if the city wishes to annex, they will agree to annexation. So we have used that as leverage to get the possibility of an annexation.
But it's all people, and it's all talking, and there's a lot of different facets of this. You take engineering costs and the cost to operate this system versus this system. Somewhere down the line, you got permitting authorities that ought to be considering whether it's more environmental friendly to tie them in if it's available. Or you go ahead and let them do septic. There's a permitting question there, and I'm not sure who's got the call or what the regulations are on that. Okay? And then, you got the more broad question is, if I get the city, you got a lot more to that than just having a place where my septic can flow. So it's a complicated issue.
It's been a huge issue up around Calvert Shores in that place because a lot of those property owners did not have enough property
to do a septic.
accommodate a septic system.
Gotcha.
So they've either had to combine lots or sell the property, put it up for sale. A lot of that's not coming back.
Yep.
So you got a county plumbing inspector I mean, we dealt with them at the church. We had to bring our whole church up to code. For square footage in the bathroom, so it's about $100,000 is what it costs to.
And then especially a high deal at the lake, because once you get runoff, it goes in the body of water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, they got good soil, they got good perking soil. up there, a lot of red gravel, sand. Not like here at the clay so much, but they just gotta have so many feet.
Yeah.
That field line, and if you don't have enough property to stay on your property and run that much field line, they won't let you put in it.
All right. Any other discussion, Bill?
Well, yeah, I got about 100 more, but we'll save for next meeting.
Next time. All right. Michael?
Just gonna give Tim another reminder that next week is the week that our neighbors, Westlake's neighbors are doing an outage and.
Right.
We'll be probably Westlake will be pulling some more water and some of the other users maybe too.
Right. Starting the 22nd, right?
I think
22nd
it's that
through
Monday.
26th.
I've got the 22nd, yeah.
Right.
They'll try to schedule the hottest days of the year for second.
I guess it's Evonik doing it. I'm
Yeah.
not sure but we're just a customer of theirs for supply and wastewater.
Just a couple of questions. We had that leak, and so we realized that we needed a split system. So I guess I kind of thought we had moved in that and we were good to go, but you're saying we need some
I mean,
pumps.
we're still working on it. I mean, piece by piece by piece. Yes, we are gonna replace the high service pumps. We are gonna replace them. That is in this next. Me and Chad working on that right now. And like I talked with Chad, the prices that I'm getting are not. They're not. I mean, they're not high dollar prices. And I told Chad the other day, I told him, I said, we need to get on with it. And I said, if we can't get an approval right now for the grant side of it, which I know we're going to, they're gonna let us use that grant money that'll do with that was in that clean water. But if they don't, then we will get it. We may have to fund it. And then being reimbursed that money. But yes, we are going to replace one of them at least. Because right now, without those pumps, if your booster station goes down, you're dead in the water. You're done. There is no redundancy. So we've got to replace at least one of them.
So is there any reason why we wouldn't move forward with that?
No, not on my thing.
I guess I just sometimes don't understand why it seems it takes months and
Right.
months and months to get anything done. I'm constantly trying to figure that out because we talk about it 4, 5, 6 months or a year
Yeah.
later, we're still talking about it. So what is it a regulatory issue? Is it a budget issue? Or we all agree it needs to be done? Why don't we just do it?
All the above.
Okay.
It is
So
all. above.
we
I
have
mean,
to get a regulatory approval to replace a pump we're already using.
It's just like, Steve, anything that I do to. Any improvement that I do to a lift station, a sewer lift station. All right, that lift station has a 7.5 horsepower pump in it. That's what's in it. It was designed for up to a 10 horse pump. I can't put a 10 horse pump in there until I take it before the state, and the state tells me, yeah, you can put a 10 horse pump in there. Even though it's already been, that's what it was designed for. Yeah, I mean,
You are in a regulatory business. And trust me, I know.
every move you make, they gotta
Every
tell you.
move you make, and if you make it out of line, they smack your hands.
It just makes life.
Is there any update on any economic, anything that's coming down the pipes? Is it still on track? That requires
You're
that
talking about
larger.
a large amount of commercial water.
Mm,
We haven't had an update on that, but it's significantly reduced in scope.
Okay,
I mean, I think I had reported that prior though.
okay.
So from that change, it was significantly reduced. It's changed the tenor of the project quite a lot. And it still has not been formally announced. There's still economic development incentives that are being bargained about. You know, and frankly, you know, the involved company is probably looking at the economy and different things by this time. So no, it's not been formally announced, but we were brought in early on as an option, and our team, I think, did some very good work. And getting proper appreciation for being a great supplier, and we still got to live up to it, but I think that the demand is not going to be nearly what it had possibly been at one time. But we're still waiting for a formalized announcement on that.
Mhm. So our increase in service line is still something that's needed out there and been needed
Yeah,
for quite
yeah.
some time. Okay.
And it's on board and still being worked on, management.
Okay.
As part of the budget.
I've got one other thing, Dan. The city and water and sewer software
Yeah.
is gonna be done in December.
I think it goes through March that they will.
I mean, we're gonna have to do something. I mean, even if the city is not going to change theirs or upgrade theirs, we're gonna have to upgrade our part, or your billing is gonna be done. It's not gonna work. We won't be able to get any support on what you've got. I mean,
There's actions underway on that, right, Glenda? Okay.
We are looking at different software companies.
Okay.
We've been doing a lot of watching.
Shocking.
See if we like what they have.
What's our drop dead date? When do we have to have that
March, I
done?
think.
Okay,
I think they charged us it was about double for this next year for
Mhm.
support. Yeah. Yeah. So,
But I mean, that's the billing, I mean, that's all the city business.
right.
Who's looking?
I mean, it's
Crystal.
It's gonna be done.
Oh.
Carrie.
Carrie and, yeah. But she's getting different ones and we're all watching.
Yep.
Hmm.
Barry, you okay?
No, unless Bill could go door to door
Ready?
about,
Don't you need a new sewer?
What was the change in the cost of residential lift stations? I mean, they've gone down dramatically, right?
Oh, yeah.
What was the deal? What was the technology change? Do you know?
The one I just put in ended up being just shy of $10,000.
But they used to be a lot more expensive than that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So there's some applications where it was unfeasible.
No,
So when you're doing the cost
Economics
comparison of
change.
a tank and a fill bed, now the alternative to put your own lift station in is a lot more cost competitive with the other option.
Yeah, it's just
than
a
what it was at
small,
one time.
are you saying for?
small manhole looking thing right out
So,
there.
you know, you had a place that's remote, and you couldn't get a gravity drain sewer.
Oh,
Now you buy a tank with a pump in it.
Yeah.
And controls, and it's a lot more cost competitive than it was in prior years.
from the city's perspective.
Well, no, from the homeowner's perspective.
Okay.
Who would have to buy that compared to them putting in a sewer and fill bed. Now you got a lift station. If you got any sewer nearby, what used to be cost prohibitive to put in a lift station and maintain it, it's gotten a lot better. It's gotten cheaper. It's gotten more reliable. And I don't know, I know that the market's changed. I don't know the hard, fast technical reasons why it's better, but it's gotten substantially more affordable.
Yeah, my septic tank crashed and burned out at the office. And was talking to Tim about it, and he put me on one. And it was very simple we dug down, put in the pump about this deep and tied it into the drain lines from the sewer system, and we were back up and running within a week. I mean,
Yeah.
On our amended, the economic feasibility, those are the words in the ordinance now that you say that. And our ordinance, has exempted from mandatory connection. Any user for whom the cost would be, for whom it would be economically not feasible. And in the past, we have used just the rule of thumb that if it requires a lift station, it's not economically feasible. We've not required anybody to go out and put it, we've not required anybody to go out and put in a private lift station.
Rethink, rethought.
So I've got a lift station. I put that in when I built, before I built the house, actually. Now I pump it all the way to Fifth Avenue. But it's better, in my opinion, than to have a septic tank.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
He wouldn't have done that 10 years ago. He wouldn't have done it probably.
I did,
There's a 10 year,
yeah, 20 years.
20 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, it's been there.
I got two 500-gallon tanks,
Yeah.
one sewage goes in, one water comes up, goes in another, and it's pumped out of that tank all the way to
All
Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, it's been there a long time.
I've replaced that pump 3 times.
And it wasn't cheap to put in the first time.
I don't even remember what it cost exactly, but probably that 10 grand, probably,
20 years ago.
not 20 years.
The city just put a big one in, same kind of, except a whole lot bigger unit. Me and Brad put it in down to the park. Got rid of that old station down there, and then we just bought one for the new bathrooms up here.
He can put it in rural water.
What were they?
It was,
I can't remember how much it was.
material was 13,000. That was for the, and I mean, it's a big station,
Each, there's 13 for each one of those. You just mentioned 2 of them, right?
13,000 apiece, is what we, and I mean, they're big stations.
So they require a holding tank?
Yes.
Okay.
But that includes.
Thanks, Jim.
Does it have 2 tanks or the sewage and all come in one tank, and it pumps sewage and all the paper stuff?
Yep, you'll chop her up and send her on her way.
All right. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All right, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
It's official.
Bishop.